Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, into the Pacific Championship Series playoffs, where we are headed into the real meat of the competition, where we will start going into the best of fives. And for today, we're going to have J-Team versus the undefeated PSG on the docket for you. I'm going to be your host and play-by-play Clement, and with me is the ever so fabulous Nightstar. Before we get into the series itself, a big thank you to our sponsors in CTBC Bank, China Airlines, Chonghua, Telecom, and of course, Caliber at the very end. You guys make the league possible. So once again, thank you for making the PCS so enjoyable. Now, Nightstar, we are finally getting into the real competition. We're looking in onto the upper side of the bracket today. What are you feeling between the two teams here in J-Team and PSG?
Well, I've got a hot date in about 4 hours, and I think I should be able to make it in time. So you know what? No, but in all seriousness, like this is going to be a very, very difficult matchup for J-Team. We all know what PSG has done, and the fact of the matter is, if you looked at J-Team's previous series, they didn't exactly show all too much in how they can take down PSG. In the previous series, it really was boom, kind of going boom. Kind of imploding in on themselves that allowed J-Team to really come back and go for that reverse sweep. As we do see the playoff bracket, PSG J-Team today, beyond Machi tomorrow, these are all going to be pretty exciting, or tomorrow's series should be incredibly exciting. That one I am really, really, really excited for.
Okay, we'll see what happens here. Just a small thing to note, we are playing on U3 on your screen today. And the funny thing is, we actually saw the exact same matchup in the exact same position in spring as well. That was a 3-0 for PSG, but it was done in a slightly different way than I think a lot of people would have expected. PSG actually showcased in that prior series in spring that they could actually just out J-Team. They could pick for super scaling and just get away with things like the Azira and Tristana. So, I have to agree with you. It feels like, on one hand, PSG could just outrace J-Team, or they could just play their own game and do it better. We are going to take a look at the roster so far. It's going to be Hanabi in the top lane, River, your kill leader so far this split in the jungle, Maple coming back, the big storyline of 2021 in the mid, and of course Unified and Kaiwing in the bottom.
And the big storyline has been Maple, who didn't have a great time in the LPL, came back here. A lot of people were thinking, maybe he's just washed. Maybe the competition has just ground him down, but no, he's looked really revitalized once he's come back into the PCS. You can say that maybe the mid competition isn't as intense, but for him to perform this well, even if some of the mid lane pool isn't as good as the LPL, it's still a testament to his strength as a player.
Yeah, and I think that is really the big thing about this year. That's the king back. How is he going to do in his native region? As we did have J-Team actually be the first seeded team in summer of 2020, but after Maple came back, it really shifted the entire landscape, and we find PSG now this split with a flawless record and trying to make a flawless postseason run at the same time. They could just simply improve to 27-0 on this split. We're going to move over to the other side in Taipei J-Team. Rust in the top lane, Hana in jungle, Mission in the mid lane, Lil V plus Woody rounding out the squad.
This is, a historical squad. Taipei J-Team going all the way back to TPA here. And for this squad, for them to get the upset, it's going to come down to Hana and Woody really overperforming what they've shown this split so far. You kind of know what you're getting from Rest, Lil V. This is a team that's not going to put Lil V on a super aggressive bot lane. You're not going to see 2v2 kills happen in favor of them over Unified and Kaiwing. So we are going to see team stats. Is this really a comparison?
Yeah, just looking at all the stats here, they all favor the side of PSG. Not too surprising, they are the best team in the league. But I think the critical one is the
Mhm.
first blood percentage. Just the fact that PSG do get off to much stronger starts
Yep.
than a team like J-Team. Like J-Team are no slouches themselves, but the difference is still very remarkable. And I think that's where we kind of feel the series is going to go, where PSG might just outrun J-Team, and you might be able to catch your hot date and even arrive on the scene a little bit earlier than you expected.
Exactly. Like this, I think almost everyone predicted 3-0. I don't know who wouldn't. Just because of the discrepancy, especially where J Team finished at the end of this regular season, stuck in that fifth kind of gatekeeper to the top half of the standings there. But into draft here, PSG started out on the blue side. Surprisingly enough, they did go ahead and ban away the Ziggs. We've seen Ziggs really take over the playoffs meta here. And for J Team, the bans are going to make a lot of sense as far as trying to limit tempo, try and slow down the game as much as possible, and more importantly, try and put Maple on a perhaps more control mage matchup rather than playmaking. Is going to be a big deal here for J-Team, because if Maple gets to leave lane, J-Team aren't built to really deal with that, with how Mission likes to stay in lane.
Yeah, we do see a very heavy contrast between how these teams take the early game. PSG a lot more about roaming, a lot more about just leaving Unified in lane and letting Kaiwing roam the map with River. Oh, PSG with a big pick right here. All of you that have watched the LEC, that watched the LPL, you know Viego's pretty much the most broken champion ever, and PSG are just going to lock that one in. This is also a flex pick for them, so could go into multiple positions. JT going to answer back with most likely the Xin Zhao lock in, and this is the critical pick here. Where are they going to go with the draft? Can they actually play an aggressive mid-jungle and try to shut Viego down early, which is what a lot of teams have been trying to do? Looks like no, they're actually going to go for a very early potential top laner in this Jace.
Still has a little bit of flex potential here, just having it available for both rest and mission, but for the most part, I would assume that it's going into that top lane. You know what Hanabi is most likely going for in that top side, and it's usually not a pick that's going to be looking to get a lot of resources, try and solo carry the game. It's going to be on a more facilitating role. As PSG, they go ahead, lock in the Philios. This, of course, a very strong pick for Unified, and also the fact that you ban away the Ziggs really increases Aphelios' value.
Not a lot of answers to that Aphelios after the Ziggs pick. We typically do see Varus as the one coming out in this situation. We'll see if J-Team go for that. Wow, going for early support pick here is very interesting to me, given how pinched the AD carry pool is on this meta. Maybe Lil V is going to come up with something new.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see what new goods they're about to showcase down here, but it will be the Braum locked in. I would expect something like an Ezreal Varus to be taken away here by PSG, or at the very least the Varus. For J-Team, it looks like it's going to be a focus on top lane, taking away the Kennen. Kennen, a pick with his Q buff, it's a lot more damage, and it's a lot more 1v1 potential. I would still say in the current landscape, it's still very difficult for him to find teamfight value. So when teams do pick him for those big teamfight wombo ultimates, I'm usually more underwhelmed more often than not.
I'm actually surprised J-Team's even banning Kennen, to be honest, because if you look at their team, they already have triple knockback, and it's like, do you really need to ban Kennen? I always feel like Kennen's a kind of a trap that PSG might have walked themselves into. PSG gonna go with the Ashe ban to start things off. It's still a very strong pick. We have seen the Ashe Braum just be great roaming away from the bot lane. Also, that Hawk shot is very valuable to steadying an early game. On the other hand, J-Team going to continue with just keeping the tempo away from PSG, also taking Maple's LeBlanc off the table. Now, this is the last ban for PSG here in the AD carry position. Our bets are on the Varus. We'll see what PSG think about this situation. Timer ticks down.
Yeah, it just brings a lot of utility coming in from both the Ashe and the Varus, being able to poke from long range, also start out fights, and more importantly, it allows you to shift your focus up top side over to rest or mission. Get some resources poured into them, because that's just how this team likes to play, and it will be Jinx actually to come out. So matching the hyper carry style with the hyper carry of their own. I like this adaptation coming in, but it also means that Lil V, we're going to have to really put notice on his lane phase, whether or not it is getting resources poured into him or just him being able to execute in the 2v2 very, very, very well, as we actually see a brilliant Malphite pick, because this is a pretty immobile backline, and if they ever group up, they are going to get wrecked.
Yeah, I love the Malphite pick here. It's a triple AD composition coming in from J-Team, and you can just armor stack your way to a victory. So, a perfect answer. We haven't seen this from Hanabi this split, but hey, you know what? Like, if Doiby can play Malphite without even reading the champion abilities, so can Hanabi. They're going to be fine. They're also going to lock in Zoe at the very last pick, so adding a little bit of tempo and range to that as well. J-Team, they still have to show... They have to have an AP threat of some sort on this team, and it looks like it's going to go to Mission. So Jace heading towards the top lane. Let's see what Mission locks in at the very end.
I would like to see the Sylas, because you are able to just steal away the Malphite, but it does look like they are going to pivot over to the Azir. Brings a very late game flair to this draft. You have Azir, you have Jinx, but also, again, like, this is a very immobile backline mission. That escape is not very cheap here, because if you use that escape to try and get out of these fights, it means you don't have the ability to use the shuffle aggressively to shift these battle lines and try and shift the terrain here. So overall, J-Team, it feels like they, while these champions are comfortable for them, the composition overall feels like it's of a higher execution level that they have to really execute around, because you are playing into a Malphite, and I just don't know how you keep this backline alive.
Yeah, Malphite is unstoppable. It goes on the name Unstoppable Force during the charge. So a lot of these abilities that would have been great disengage options don't really work on J-Team. We'll figure out how they actually play against this. We're going to go over the compositions again. PSG on one side, a lot of tempo options, great counter in the Malphite, and then they have late game options in the Viego and the Aphelios themselves. J-Team very clearly going for an outrange 3-item carry sort of setup. It is very in line with what they love to do, and their identity as more of this late game outvalue team composition. But here is the $1 million question. Which comp, given these configurations, do you actually favor here between these two? Are we going to see PSG finally being taken down a peg?
I still favor PSG so much because of how well they're going to be able to team fight. They can also go for picks here. They just have so many options available to them. However, to J-Team's credit, they do have a pretty strong top half of the map. So perhaps if they are able to get wave priorities in both mid and top lane and play really aggressively topside with this Xin pick, I'm looking at Heralds at 8 or 9 minutes. This could definitely be a really strong early game, and hopefully that is good enough of a bridge to then get to your 3 items on these really strong carries.
All right, we'll see if that happens from J-Team. We take a look at the stats, and PSG, they are the premier Herald team in the PCS, while J-Team, on the other hand, they are the premier Drake fighting team in the PCS. So very different priorities in terms of the objectives. As you mentioned, like J-Team, I totally agree with you on this. Probably more of a topside team in this situation. So we're going to see if they can flip it up. But ladies and gentlemen, here we go into the upper bracket. We've already done with round 1. A lot of great games there. Love Liab. Miss you guys so much. But now we head on into round 2, the real sauce of the playoffs. This is going to be a best of 5 between our upper bracket teams here. J-Team and PSG heading to the Rift right now. And so far, it looks like no shenanigans, excuse me, even though they have that Braum pick. We're going to be taking a look at the runes so far. Pretty interesting about Hanabi actually going with the Comet here. Also a phase rush on the other side for Rest.
Comet just to use to try and get some better trades into this matchup, of course. It's not really, you're not really going to get value out of something like a Grasp, so this does make a lot of sense here. As we are into a pretty quiet start here. Zen starting top side is going to be interesting because it does look like, with that pathing, of course, you're focused on finishing bot lane and perhaps getting some sort of... Okay, he is pathing back towards bot. This makes a lot more sense. You want to finish top side for that Jace, for your Azir, maybe get a cheese gang, get into that mid lane. As Rest will also spot things out for River and playing actually pretty aggressively. Sad B mode. Good start.
Doesn't really find the Q. Backs out immediately after he realizes that Malphite is going to come for him. So Shock Blast goes wide, Rest still goes top. I would call this a bit of an advantage for J-Team early on, as they do have full vision of where River is going to be on the map. And like you said, that aggressive top side could allow them to play, even more aggressively now that they know where the jungler position is. J-Team Mission going to hit level 2 slightly sooner. I do want to talk about Mission's performance so far in postseason. Just a fun fact, he has not died yet. Now, you can interpret that many ways. Maybe he wasn't aggressive enough, but for me, it's really a sign of how much tighter J-Team are playing in this postseason compared to regular.
And I mean, once postseason does come around, J-Team, with their storied history, with a lot of experience on the squad as well, you have to imagine that they do, or that they are able to flip that switch and just focus and dial in just a little bit better. However, it is up against PSG, who are just as experienced as they are, and even more so on the international stage. Although you can kind of make a side comment about Unified.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. That's, for some reason, Unified always has health issues going into Worlds. We saw D with him in 2020 to fill in his spot, and then also, of course, Doggo filling in for MSI. So Unified not really having the time to shine, even though I've said this many times, I believe he's the best mechanical player on the squad. So hopefully he will be able to go to Worlds this time around. Checking in back onto the map, Mission with a sizable lead over Maple in this lane. Now, he does have the wave push, though. Lead is pretty subjective, given that Maple actually has the CS lead, and a pretty big one at that. PSG going to be the first ones up to roam into this river, and Mission is caught out here. Ooh, will dodge out on the Sleepy Trouble Bubble and be absolutely fine. Just have River sailing by.
Yeah, and interesting stat to just try and keep track of once we get to that point. Han's going to say hello up in this top side. However, nice warding coming in from Hanabi means that he just goes for the recall, gets the reset. It's just one of those stats to keep track of at 15 minutes. J-Team, if they do have a gold lead. Okay.
We see a skirmish coming out here. River definitely knew where Hana was on the map. Just going to open up on him. Has a massive HP lead, and this is going to be the flash from the Xin Zhao early on. And flash in, chasing even more for River, but he misses the Spectral Maw. No stun, that should be everything. And the B cry emote comes out for River. He knows he goofed a bit.
He really wanted that kill. Unfortunately, doesn't lock it down there. And fortunate tides for the PSG jungler, but still taking away the flash on the Xin is more valuable than losing the flash on the Viego, as a lot of the playmaking power from this Zen in the early game just gets taken away right then and there for 5 minutes. That makes these lanes just so much safer on the side of PSG.
Yeah, for sure. If you're talking about J-Team having the early aggression in the early game in the top side, well, that's now gone. Viego gets to farm up till 6, get that Heartbreaker, get the disgusting resets that we've seen so many times in postseason before. He's going to be completely unopposed, you know. I felt like River, that play was pretty good because he had the drop on Hana, he had the extra back, but unfortunately he wasn't coming out with boots, so it was kind of it was a little bit opportunistic with that play.
Yeah,
definitely could have worked out, but unfortunately not the case. Now we are going to see another try onto Hana, and this time there is a Shirelia's Reverie on Maple. A lot of chase down potential here.
Yeah, and it's just going to be fighting for this next crab here. Setting up.
Oh no, Hana is going to walk right into the brush, take the full amount of punishment,
flash.
And there's nowhere for him to go. He's just dead here. Viego gets the kill. And wow, PSG read Hana's mind. They were in position for, I think, at least 20 plus seconds.
They were way ahead on that play, and Maple even using a preemptive flash to make sure Hana didn't have any avenues of escape. And that also means that they're going to transition over to a very early dragon. Usually, PSG, again, like, their first dragon timer is 13 minutes. You know, this is 6 minutes earlier, and it's not like they're losing a whole lot of time or tempo when it comes to rotating back over towards that top side to start out Herald. There's still a minute before that objective is up, so they have a lot of freedom.
Have the Zen versus Viego matchup, but at this point, it's hard to see how they can make use of that one. Definitely correct me if you think I'm wrong here. But we are going to go into an early Herald scouting mission here, coming in from Kai Wing. As we see in the meantime, top lane, Rest trying to hold the wave here in a better position. We do have the unstoppable force here by Hanabi already, so it looks like Rest is trying to play a little bit safer here. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, neither AD carry is really backed yet. So we have Unified and Lil V just farming it out for now. It's going to be very interesting to see which one can actually make it towards the top lane. The pings are already going down on PSG's side, so it just looks like a straight Herald play for them. And River indeed is going to start this one up.
Yeah, and I mean, the big difference has just been, well, Maple's willingness to leave the lane. You saw him crash wave mid and instantly look to help out River when it came to contesting that second crab, and now they just get so many advantages here. They get this Rift Herald for free, and J-Team, they're just way too late to the party.
Oh, Maple going in, trying to find the stun, but in the top side, Jace is the one that's being opened up onto. Let's see if Kaiwing can make it out here. It will be Rest dying. Mission does pick up the pieces, but he is on the wrong side of the map. With River closing down on him. Oh, we'll see if Azir can actually get out. Heartbreaker straight into the mist. Great Crescent Guard stops the damage. And River will fall there. Outplay coming in from Hana. Flashing by Woody. Gets the slow. Mission doesn't find the Shurima shuffle, but Maple has nowhere to go. And J-Team turn around that fight for the extra kill.
And it's the side of PSG that get a little bit too aggressive when it comes to finishing off that skirmish. You use that big mouth fight ultimate to get the kill onto that Jace, and because of that, they don't have it for the rest of this chase. We're going to see the replay. Maple going in. I mean, it starts out well on opposite sides. However, Rest going down here and exchanging it for Kaiwing, it means that you don't have the actual engaged power to finish off this skirmish. You need the Leona CC at this point in the game. There's just not enough coming out, and I mean, Malphite he also just doesn't make the rotation as well, so he's just not interested. He knows that without the ultimate, he doesn't contribute a whole lot. At least at this point in the game, he doesn't have the insane tank stats to just wade through the team, so this goes straight back to his wave.
just want to say Viego might be overpowered, but he's not that overpowered. River going into Braum versus Hana, who both had damage negating abilities. Probably wasn't a very suspect call here. As now taking a look at Mission, he is standing at 3-0-0. This is probably the best start for a postseason for Mission so far. Hasn't died a single time. Now he's going to have a commanding lead over Maple. I really want to see his items, but we do have some messages from Chonghua Telecom at this point. Remember to get their 5G network. And right into another, okay. We're not going to see his items for now, but we are going to watch PSG Kaiwi and River coming up into the top lane. It will be spotted out, but there is an ultimate on Hanabi, and Rest does manage to get away just in the nick of time. However, his tower is going to bear a large brunt of the damage.
Oh, wow. River actually got all of that gold, and it looks like they're just going to go ahead, give him solo gold here. He's going to get... Okay, it does look like they're waiting for Aphelios to make his way all the way up top lane. They should be able to finish off this tower pretty easily. I mean, it is an Aphelios, so it's just a trade of gold. On the flip side, you are able to get some investment into your Jinx. She's going to get 2 solo plates. However, that's all they're able to really get because they don't have that extra pushing power from this Rift Herald. And PSG looking to encroach onto this tier 2 will get a charge down, but won't be able to get anything else as J-Team, they have to send quite a few resources to stop that push. And yeah, overall, it's still a win for PSG.
I just love the fact that Malphite gets nothing off that play. If we look at the gold chart right there, Hanabi sitting at just above gold from Hana, the opposing jungler. That felt like a set where RNG would run, but instead of giving the gold over to your top laner, it's Viego and friends for PSG right now. Yeah. I can't blame them. Viego is just such a powerful champion. It's just kind of funny to see this trade-off as, in the end, PSG do come out with a slight gold lead throughout the entire trade. They do get the first tower and the only tower. Meanwhile, J-Team will go for the Drake on this play. And just taking a look at the gold graph, it does shift the momentum back to PSG afterwards.
Gold still relatively even, and now
never mind.
It doesn't quite have enough damage at this point to really chase down this Jace. And even then, once you do get that completed Frostfire Gauntlet, the rest, once he gets to Serelda's Grudge, we'll be able to trade pretty respectably back over. And now it just kind of comes to a waiting game for the side of J-Team. They secure themselves a second dragon, which is a big deal. It buys you extra time, and for the side of PSG, this is where they start really taking over the game. They start making these really fast rotations to pick people off. So J-Team, they have to really respect the roaming capabilities over on the side of PSG, because if a Malphite ever visits, and this backline, again, very, very immobile, besides the Azir, it's hard for them to dodge out on something like a Malphite unstoppable force.
I think we can all see the play coming from PSG, as you just said Malphite bot lane, and it feels like J-Team have to relinquish their control or just take power damage. But how did J-Team hold on in this position? Like, is there anything you see that they could potentially do to get out of the bind that we talked about, just the roaming Hanabi? As we do have a Sleepy Trouble bubble landing onto Woody, the Zenith Blade connects as well, and River finds another stun, prompting the flash away. Woody's trying to get away, but the Heartbreaker is just too much from Viego. Catches on, even lands the Winter's Bite, as PSG are going to get the full 4-man stack onto this bottom side tower. There's no defense coming in from J-Team. I guess I posed that question just a little bit too late. I'm sorry about this, Nightstar.
Yeah, what they can do to stop the bot lane dive, well, if they get picked off before the dive ever happens, that's one way to remedy it. But I don't think that was the solution that J-Team were really looking for here. Is we're going to see the replay. Woody gets caught out. And I love the patience coming in from Kaiwing, holding on to the Zenith Blade until the rest of the team is just that much closer. And it actually makes that much of a difference there, because you look at how much more distance Woody would have gotten if Kaiwing didn't wait on that Zenith Blade. And you know, he actually would have survived, but Kaiwing knows his teammates' positions and knows that he just has to hold on to that Zenith Blade just a fraction of a second longer.
All I gotta say is, if you need a flash, you might as well flash early. Woody took everything to the face right there. 3 crowd control abilities. It's gonna go down, but in the meantime, PSG with an interesting trade on the map, they will go over, give over the entire bot lane tower towards the Hypercurie in Jinx for Lil V. In the meantime, taking the Herald and once again heading towards the top lane. This tower will fall with another Herald charge, and River is on the hunt here. Doesn't look like there's much that Rest can actually do in this scenario. Will dodge out on the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Does have backup, as J-Team is now going to send their members towards the top side, and PSG respectfully does back away. No kills so far happening.
Yeah, they are able to. Yeah, they're able to disengage the situation, which is well done coming in from the side of J-Team, as they are still fishing to just get EXP and gold, get themselves to that second item breakpoint, and then to that third, where you're going to see the Serelda's Grudge come through from Rest. You're going to start seeing that big damage threats in the Jinx and Azir start to come online, but already looking to teleport straight back in. That should be Maple here, so starting to set up perhaps a siege situation in mid lane to get wave priority, and then swap over to that dragon. Once it does spawn, it is Inferno Soul as well, so not going to have as many walls to play around as the Zoe. But having the extra damage, of course, does help, especially when you do have something like an Aphelios as a backup carry.
I have to agree with that. Like, PSG, for now, definitely more on the burst track, as Mission takes a lazy path. It takes a ton of damage. Flash already used. J-Team gonna find it very difficult to contest this Infernal Dragon. Meanwhile, on the top side, Rest also gets his flash forced away from him. Ooh, bad things happening all across the board for J-Team. I think we're going to get a replay of what happened in the top side. But PSG getting crucial solo lane summoners across the board here, and also snagging the objective for themselves.
And it's just a lot of laziness coming in from the side of J-Team. Is they're going to try and trade back onto Hanabi, but he does have his Frostfire Gauntlet completed now, and has a Kindle Gen on top of it, so he's plenty durable even without the extra Resolve Tree runes for a main keystone. And in this mid lane, Unified, he's getting farm. It's not like any of these laners are that far behind. Yes, J-Team are doing a good job when it comes to the CS department, being able to farm up, getting farm advantages in all 3 lanes, but the team fight at this point in the game is just so much simpler to execute for the side of PSG, especially when you are missing 2 flashes on 2 of your big backline carries.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty bad scenario if you're facing a Malphite composition. See how J-Team can hang on here. It's been a while since we've taken a look at the items, so we'll just go through them right now. Lil V, gonna go for the Death Stance plus the Kraken Slayer. Definitely a pretty standard build coming in for Lil V, given that he also has a Lethal Temple here. Really want to stack up on those 3 auto attack passives. Meanwhile, taking a look at River, is actually going for a tankier build, not straight rushing for the Blade of the Ruin King, despite you having Blade of the Ruin King in your name. Gonna go for the Sterix Gauge instead for tanking. What do you think about this build? Oh, as we do have Lil V starting to open up on the targets, Lethal Temple being procced here, and strong. He does do damage at this point.
Yeah, he does have his 2 items all completed here. He's the big carry right now because, again, the other 2 carries in his team are missing the flash. So a lot of playmaking potential removed from those 2 carries, and it's going to be up to Lil V with the really accelerated build he has, being able to get so many
Rest is going to get opened up onto Solar Flare into the Zenith Blade, and goodbye, Rest. They know he doesn't have a flash, so super aggressive play from Kaiwing to finish that off.
Bot is open, but it looks like they want to respond mid instead. They're going to try and chase him down here, look for a fight.
Coming in, but he's taking so much damage. Hasazania's early Heartbreaker does find Lil V, and he just goes down to Hanabi in the backline. Great TP positioning. The bot lane is obliterated on the side of J-Team, and that's going to be an open Baron 20 minutes into the game.
They just get escorted straight to mid and straight to Baron right afterwards. PSG starting to turn on the Jets, but J-Team getting a little bit aggressive. Lil V understood that he needs to be the one to try and make the play, but unfortunately the play just wasn't there. Tries to get a reset off of Maple, and now they get
across the board onto Hana.
Yeah.
Xin Zhao's trying to get away. Not a lot of damage on the Pursuers here, but River is quickly closing in to get the slowdown, and then Nabi just had to take away the kill.
Yeah,
we're gonna watch that again.
Chase down coming in, but with this replay, you're gonna see Lil V does a lot of damage, right? He has the PD, has the Kraken Slayer, so he's able to output, but unfortunately, he's just too far forward. Because of how slow this game has been, Hanabi hasn't been forced to make a teleport play yet this game. So honestly, Lil V probably forgot that there existed a Malphite, and Malphite, I mean, comes in from the back and gives him the clap.
I would call that caught between a rock and a rock. It was very uncomfortable for J-Team. They tried to make a pretty risky move. They were already down Rest and decided to push in when there was a potential 5v4 coming their way. PSG very calm punish there. They had the Baron side warded up. There was nowhere for Lil V to honestly go afterwards. He took the sleepy trouble, unfortunately, from Maple early on. So, yeah, just have to use the Summoners to get away. And now PSG with the Baron on 5, I believe, are going to push in onto this one. J-Team having a hard time defending against the empowered minions, and this should be poke time for Maple. Does tag onto Lil V again, and there's no sustain on this Jinx as of yet.
And this is where things get really, really annoying. Oh, dear.
Whew. Very close. Gets tagged once again, but he does have that Unbreakable, so we'll stay alive. I just don't feel like J-Team have any recourse at this point. Just so much damage.
There's just too much range now that you are stuck in a pretty honest position. You're not looking for flanks here at this point. You're just trying to hold. And okay, that's a good try. Respectably close, you know? Not a bad attempt from Lil V. But it is still a third dragon to go into the hands of PSG, and they still have a Baron to work with, so they can continue to siege. And these walls are just not safe for the side of J-Team.
Hana takes 60% of his HP. Mission has to go in deep into the backline. Does get Maple. Maple goes down to Hana and the Crescent Guard. Can Lil V finish this up? He is getting excited. The Jinx is firing down onto Hanabi. There's no ult anymore. Here's going to find another one and continue the chase down. The solo laners from PSG get punished, but the rest are able to get away, though.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the side of PSG getting a little bit too excited here, trying to get the maximum out of this Baron buff as it ticked down, but unfortunately, they end up overstepping their bounds. The Aphelios was headed bot lane, and J-Team see that opening and then immediately go for the play. Mission with a brilliant ult on this Azir, although he is possibly caught out. He's going to get chased down.
He should be fine. As River continues to chase
There's
onto
a lot
Mission,
of chase.
Lands another stun onto him. Very long auto attack range, and he does find the shutdown. Wow, did not expect that to be possible here. We're going to watch this play again. Catch how Mission gets this fight going.
Yeah, Mission expends a lot to get this play, so While it is a really big comeback play coming in from J-Team, it also means that 5 minutes is a lot of time for the side of PSG to really play a little bit more reckless, because there isn't that playmaking tool on Mission anymore. He doesn't have the flash. And J-Team, it is still a play that they needed. They are able to get some extra gold down into their pockets. They get a kill onto Lil V. But more importantly, Mission, he has now died.
The first death of playoffs. It was bound to happen at some time, but man, it's been a pretty good run for him. I do want to point out, in terms of the gold lead, J-Team don't really feel that far behind given everything that's happened in the game. And if you look at all 3 carries, they are actually farming better than PSG. So I do want to ask you, do you see a comeback potential on the horizon?
Slowly but surely, like, if they don't get stuck in some of these objective fights, I do give J-Team a bit of a chance, but unfortunately, you have to contest this next Dragon. Inferno Soul is just too powerful for PSG's composition, and it's really going to come down to how they take this next fight, or how many Sleepy Trouble Bubbles, honestly, land on the side of J-Team. And if they don't land that many, then the extra range is going to come in handy. You are going to have more range on this Jinx more consistently, mind you, as Unified, he does have the range gun. That is going to be very helpful in this scenario, but when it comes to it, poke damage is a little bit better from J-Team if they don't get stuck around these objective walls.
River trying to find an opening here and just going to force everyone away on the J-Team side. PSG now opening up the Baron River. Go in and put down Vision. Taking a look at the items again. Very interesting from Lil V. He does spot out there's already triple armor items completed on Hanabi. So going to go for an early Lord Dominic's Regard. See if that's going to help against the Rock. But you know, if I'm looking at the damage profiles here, it feels like if PSG just kill Mission, it's pretty much over. Like, Malphite can just walk across all these members and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for the side of J-Team to take down Malphite without the assistance coming in from Mission. However, Mission is relatively safe, has Flash coming up very soon. Probably not in time for this dragon fight until a little bit after it spawns, but he does have the Zanyas. He is on 3.5 items, and more importantly, well, actually, it is just the Zanyas. That is the most important fact. Really his only fallback plan here. And now, well, actually, Unified has 3 items on his own now. So he's packing the damage. And it's going to really come down to Lil V and Unified pumping out. See who gets more damage in these fights.
We are going to have Hanabi coming around the backside to cut off any retreat. J-Team are forced to fight their way through this, and they have to secure the Drake as well, but River is closer to the objective. It will be Lil V taking that one away, and Hanabi actually fails on the top side, about to go down. Braum falls to give River his first reset, but the fight is still ongoing. Hanabi just took so much poke from Mission, and J-Team walk away with everything they came here for.
Yeah, and Mission, he just plays the fight so damn perfectly. He just knows his job is to melt down this Malphite. Doesn't have any magic resistance built up, but PSG, they immediately go for the other answer, which is start out the Baron. They do so much damage. I don't know if they're gonna make it here in time. I don't know if Hana wants to flip.
Force, so Hanabi could just... Oh, but Hana still makes it into the pit! River will secure the Baron, however, and Hanabi actually cleans up onto the back line. Still staying for a very long time here. Mission will get the escape, maybe, as River chases down with the Heartbreaker. Can't find the slow, but Maple does tag him with the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. See if they find the kill here. Zenithate going in, but Kaiwing is underneath the enemy tower. Finally, Unified comes in. Isn't going to be able to pick up the pieces. And on the flip side, Jace finds a kill back. Rest is clawing his way in. Unified flashes in, gets the double, and still walks out. Massive play coming in from Unified, the collector, the crit, making it huge.
Oh my god. I did not expect that sort of damage here. We haven't had a damage tech come in quite yet from Unified, but right there you see just how far he is. As Hanabi goes over the wall with that ultimate, this time around he actually gets an opportunity to use it, and being able to delete Lil V right off the bat means that there's not enough persistent damage only coming in from Mission here, and right here they get a little bit too zealous. They overdive, they chase through a Braum, and Braum's able to somewhat turn the tides here, and yeah, Kaiwing goes aggressive and lines everything up for Unified to clean up, but it's still a lot of Barons taken off the board from the side of PSG.
We do have a chase down onto Nabi, who is forced to use his unstoppable force to get away, so that does open up J-Team for some sieging potential there. Going back to the previous play, I feel it was pretty weird for Hana to actually use his stopwatch in that situation. Like, you kind of have to bet on your ability to Baron. You can't smite in stasis, so
yeah.
I feel like Hana actually fat fingered that one a little bit. We'll see if J-Team can come back from the play, as Unified is getting isolated on this side. There's a 4-man hit squad going for it. Pops the Moonlight Vigil. Mission is going very low, and he actually falls!
No
a 41 trade where Unified couldn't get that too! He is still resurrecting. No
Team's
way,
here?
200 years on the path. Unified still alive. Finally is going to get taken down. But at what cost is the question, as PSG now barreling down onto the bottom side. That was disgusting.
Oh, Lord. PSG, I mean, Unified, he just knows his limits, knows that he has the GA. Yes, he does eventually go down, but he's just able to pump out so much damage, force J-Team away from essentially a 5v1 situation, and now PSG, they're the ones barreling down into the J-Team base. They're able to get that first in him. Now they turn their sights onto perhaps that dragon, as that's going to be spawning in 75 seconds. That's going to be the next objective.
Yeah.
We're going to see the replay here on just how much damage Unified does on this Aphelios pick. River wants no part of this play, but Unified's just like, yo, I deal a lot of damage, brother. And then he instantly deletes one by himself, and River's like, oh, you know what? I'll come out and help now.
He didn't even have good guns. He wasn't running Duskwave. He didn't have Infernum. Like, he was actually running like more of a siege poke gun combination. And man, I swear sometimes it doesn't matter which guns you pick on that champion. It really doesn't. Like, Mission didn't expect the damage. He had his Zanyas and he was like, I should be okay, right? Oh shit, I'm dead. Oh, that's just...
See ya.
This game is way too much fun. As we do have J-Team coming in to contest this Infernal, potentially Soul from PSG. Hanabi this time around does have the unstoppable force, so J-Team will have to pay very close attention to his positioning. Once again, Hanabi going for the backside. So even if they lose the Infernal Soul, they could go for the team fight cleanup on the back end here. J-Team really playing this on the knife's edge. They will start off the objective, pull it towards their end. River is in camouflage, and the Sleepy Trouble Bubble does land onto Lil V. Lil V is almost forced out of the fight. Hana again does get the Dragon objective, but can they get out? That's the answer. Mission on the wrap gets a great pullback, but Aphelios gets the double kill. Maple flashing in
on
for
the chase
kills.
now.
Woody is trying to act like the vision is based on movement from PSG, but PSG really aren't, they're not a T-Rex. PSG going for the base. Instead, Lil V, nearly finds the snipe down. He's going to get tagged up here, and River cleans him up on the back end. Hana tried everything. He got the objective, but the game is still going to go over to PSG. No one here in the base to actually defend. Maple just running interference at this point, and PSG are going for the ace. The Manor ace. They want to make sure this is absolutely clear cut. The message has been sent. J-Team, I'm sorry guys, but we are the better team. We are going for the flawless split, and PSG wrap game 1 down.
kills to 9. It was a bit of a slow early game. Not that bad of a performance from J Team in that early game, but again, like once it hits 20 minutes, this team just turns on and it just takes one mistake. J Team, they end up getting caught out mid lane. That catch turns it straight into a Baron, and yeah, Hana's able to flip a couple of objectives, secure the next 2 dragons, but at that point in time, the gold differential is just too great. We're going to see the replay here. Damage goes down onto Lil V, and that's the big issue. Because, yes, you secure yourself the dragon, but Lil V can't do any damage in this scenario. He has to immediately flash out, and they find the Wombo onto the remaining 2 members. They find mission, they find rest. The soul laner's instantly deleted. That's 2/3 of your main damage.
This was such a decent game from J Team. If you remember the early scoreline, they were holding in within 2,000 gold. Post 25 minutes on like a Azir and Jinx, you know, that's definitely a winnable situation. And Mission again had a great early game, starting out 3-0-0. But I just feel like it was that one play in the mid lane with a great Malphite TP that just kind of broke the dam, and just the tidal wave just washed J Team away afterwards. Oof.
It's just one of those things where when you take the game so slow, sometimes you just forget the damage check and also just what summoners are available. And in that case, like Lil V, he just had no idea what was available on the map. He didn't realize the Malphite teleport was available. He didn't, I mean, to be fair, he never saw a Malphite the entire game until that moment.
Yeah, that was pretty tragic. I also want to ask you about the drafting so far, because this was a red side draft from J Team, and they showed all of their cards early. They went Azir or Jace on 2nd and 3rd, and I'm just like, I'm not so sure about that, boss. I feel like their draft didn't actually do anything, you know?
Yeah. They weren't able to fully capitalize off this top half of the map, being able to play around Hana, and yeah, you get some priority in these lanes, but they were never able to fully funnel this Jace, and Jace didn't get to do big Jace things in these pre-fight setups here. So J Team back to the drawing board, and their struggles against the top teams still continue. Even with their success against Boom Esports, this is a team that just hasn't pulled wins off against the top half of the board.
Yeah, it definitely has been the case here. They're still now 0-7 against the top 3 teams of the PCS. So see if they can change that in game 2. Just looking at the damage graphs, we do have to say that the solo laners from J Team actually did a pretty good job at this point. There were a couple pretty trolly moments from Maple and River, and less even from Hanabi. There were some pretty questionable moments, to be completely honest. He would at least caught out twice, but Unified was there to make the difference. At the end, even if you defeat the solo lanes, Unified is the actual raid boss, and he proves it with another great KDA game. Didn't deal a lot of damage, but didn't need to. Only those critical moments were enough for PSG to cement the lead.
To be fair, the Philios didn't have a whole lot of impact, but the moment you got to see his damage showcase, that's when it was just over. I feel like he was doing probably like 5-10% of the damage up until that big pop-off moment, and then the rest of the damage, it was just over, man. The Philios just does disgusting things when you aren't able to zone him off with your range. And you saw, like, they were able to keep him down for most of the game, but they gave him that one moment, and he just... death and taxes popping off.
2 double kills right after PSG start losing members, really stabilizes the team and leads PSG to their first win in the postseason. Let's see if they can keep their flawless streak going. Don't go anywhere. We will be heading into a break, but shortly after, heading straight into game 2.